Week 7, as we welcome you into the FTN Betting Show presented by FTN Network. Abby Labar, Mike Randle, Chris Meany here with you guys. I think last week went decently well for the both of you. Randle, I think you were almost perfect, not quite. But yeah, things have been going well so far for us this season. I'm excited to dive into these picks this week.
Yeah, ridiculous, Abby. Mac Jones, you can't take a sack there. You can do anything else you want. Devontae Parker, catch the pass. Don't give me the false start that bumps him back 5 yards. And then don't take a safety. Infuriating.
I literally saw something that said the Patriots offense is a hot mess. It is truly a hot mess. Like, that's the best
That's an understatement.
That's the best. Disastrous, of course, but hot mess was really funny. I was like, that's a good one for sure, especially with the Mac Jones drama. Like, pulls him, puts him back in, benches him, whatever. It's all over the place. All right, well, let's dive into this week as far as the lines and the spreads go. A lot to like, a lot to look at. I know, like, we were talking about this right before we came on. And Meany, we'll start with you because I know you've got your eyes on this game. Detroit, the Dogs at +3. I'm surprised because I love how the Lions have been playing. And obviously the Ravens have been good. But, like, as far as their opponents, they really haven't played, like, a really good quarterback, you know? And so it's like, are we buying into the Ravens or – because for me, it feels like this is probably going to be their biggest test so far. So it's surprising that Detroit's picked as the underdog.
Yeah, I it could be a bit of a trap game. You know, there's a lot of talk out there about Jared Goff and, you know, the home and away splits dating back to last season. You know, as a guy that just was completely dominant at home and in a dome last year and then really struggled on the road. But this is a different Jared Goff. Like, this is a guy who's feeling it. I think he's in the MVP conversation at the moment. Last week with no run game at all on the road against the Bucs is a defense that I have a lot of respect for. He threw for over 350 passing yards. You know, he hit Amon-Ra St. Brown, you know, which is Mike's boy. I mean, he's one of the better wide receivers in all of football. Sam Laporta is a great tight end who was limited last week. You know, he popped up on the injury report, but for a rookie tight end, he's checking all the boxes. Jameson Williams is a new shining toy that we haven't seen a lot from in this Lions offense. He had a receiving touchdown, and that's all he did, right? And in college was just have big plays. Like, he's just a big play waiting to happen. And I was really impressed because Dave Montgomery, you know, left that game early last week, and it was so zero run game to speak of. And Goff was just, they leaned on him and his arm, and he did enough, like, pretty easily. So offensively, he's got 11 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And I'm just really feeling the vibes of this offense. You know, no Montgomery this week. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to, it sounds like he's going to play. So they'll get their rookie running back that they spent a first round pick on. And Craig Reynolds is, you know, he's not a flashy type running back, but you saw the block that he laid out when, you know, to free up Amon-Ra St. Brown in that game. And then really just defensively, there are 2 teams that are top 5 in total DVOA offense and total DVOA defense, according to our tools over at ftnbets.com. It's the San Francisco 49ers. Surprise, surprise, right? Like, this is a team that we all expect to be, you know, knocking on the door when it comes to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. And then it's the Lions. Like, the Lions are a top 5 defensive squad. They're a top 5 offensive squad. They don't allow anything on the ground. Like, they should be able to bottle up Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, you know, a sub 4 yards per carry on the ground. Like, neither of these guys are players that I would start this week in fantasy. I don't think either. Like, 3.2 yards per carry is no joke for that defense. And then Lamar Jackson, everybody's like, myself included, I was kind of drinking the Kool-Aid in the offseason too. Oh, you know, Todd Monken's in town. They ran three wide fewer than anybody, 11 personnel fewer than anybody last year. And they're running it a lot this year. But outside of Zay Flowers, OBJ and Rashad Bateman, like, Aguilar's had better games than these 2 players. And Lamar Jackson's got 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He has yet to throw for over 240 passing yards. $169, 237, 202, 186, 236, 223. 3 games without a touchdown. I like this Lions team. If it's a trap, it's a trap. I'm taking them on the money line. Give me the +3.
Oh, there we go. I was going to ask that. I like it. Hey, Randle, you predicted Flowers would score his first touchdown over in London. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. This is a test 'em game for Detroit. Guys, is Detroit for real? This is a spot. It's tricky. Division, Bucks coming off a loss, etc. All of that stuff. No Dave Montgomery. This is it. What Chris said is absolutely true. Defensive line, offensive line, as solid as they come. They win this game, I'll be super impressed because I think it really makes a statement about how good they are. Jeff Ratcliffe here at FTN has talked about how Jared Goff's expected fantasy points well below where he's actually at. Maybe they're buying into some aggression, but we keep doubting the Lions, guys. They keep winning.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, speaking of teams that have something to prove, the Chargers, Randall, I know you have a pick against the spread for this game. Chargers, Chiefs, big AFC West matchup. And the Chargers, obviously, their record shows only 2 wins, but they've kept their games pretty close. I read it's all 3 of their losses have been kept within a total of 8 points, and these are good opponents that the Chargers have been playing too. So what's going on with them? Like, how do they kind of get over that hump? And the Chiefs, obviously, a huge test.
Yeah, this is a classic spot, guys. And I had it circled as soon as I was previewing this week. I knew I was going to get there and I knew what the line would be, and it came through. Chargers plus 5.5. There is a disconnect between the Chiefs' record, which is 5-1, and how they are really operating as a team. We know their offense has not been fantastic. We see Mahomes' numbers, touchdown to interception ratio. They've been able to escape. The Chargers have not lost by more than 3 points. You talked about that. In fact, Abby, if we go back to last year, only 3 of their 23 games have resulted in a loss of 6 points or more. Think about that. We know the Chargers are going to play close games. And Herbert, by the way, is 5-1 against the spread as a quarterback for the Chiefs. And the only time he did not beat the spread was when they lost in overtime because they gave up a touchdown. So Herbert plays well in these matchups. Chiefs have no Justin Watson. That may not matter to us, but the Chiefs wide receivers have been abysmal. Sky Moore, Marcus Valdes-Scantling. We have Derwin James to match up to Travis Kelce. He was effective in their one matchup last year. Second matchup, Kelce had a fantastic game, but at least they've shown the ability to limit him in the past. Most importantly, 14-27 is what the Chiefs are against the spread when favored by a touchdown or more going back to November 2020 per Bet Labs. Mahomes entered this year, and if you include the Detroit game, 5-13 as a home favorite against the spread, 3 points or more. They benefited to bump that up a little bit because of the Broncos last week, which was closer than anyone realized, and the Bears, who are abysmal. So Mahomes hasn't been great in these spots. It's a rivalry game. The Chargers have played well. Remember the Mike Williams 3-touchdown game in Kansas City a few years ago? It's too many points. I even like the Chargers on the money line. I think this is a spot here. Yes, I know the Chargers lost to the Cowboys, but that's what happens. We've seen this. You can't go by recency bias. I'll go by history. Chargers plus 5.5.
I tried to pump that Chargers money line last week, didn't win that one, but both of you going bold to start. I like it a lot. Hey, I do like the Chargers in this as well. It was interesting, some of the notes you threw out about Justin Herbert, but I was kind of browsing on our site, looking at our like edge tool. And one of the things that jumped out at me was Justin Herbert passing touchdown under 1.5 is currently plus money. And it's one of the best lines right now when it comes to that edge tool. So it's showing an 8.2% edge, 55% projected win percentage to play the under on the Justin Herbert passing touchdown. I mean, yeah, Casey's got a good defense. That has been the bright spot for them, right? Only 2 players have thrown for more than 2 touchdowns against KC. So I would keep my eye on that prop bet, even if you are going in on the Chargers.
And Abby, that's fine. They can win it with Eckler with a couple rushing touchdowns, with Herbert rushing one in with a turn. That could easily happen. I could see a situation where the Chargers cover or win and Herbert is below that. It's possible.
Yeah.
I got a prop from this game too, actually, since we're on it. It could be a fun game, and I'm not as bold as Mike with the Chargers win. They just always find a way to break your heart. That's my only issue with the Chargers. Like these guys,
dealt with that last week.
I can't get over it. Like they always find a way to lose a game, but the divisional matchup, like Randall's spot on. If you just want to go back to last Thursday, like that game was tight between the Chiefs and the Broncos, and the Broncos hadn't shown us anything all year long. Their defense played up against the Chiefs, and those divisional matchups can get really weird. So I'm with you on the cover, but ultimately, like this is a Chargers defense that just hasn't been able to stop anybody. I said it on the Sirius XM show on Saturday, how it was a get right spot for Dak. Dak had a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. Brandon Cooks finally did something for the first time in a Cowboys uniform. And it's really because of this Chargers defense. 7.7 yards per attempt to quarterbacks. It's the second highest mark. They've allowed the second or the most fantasy points to wide receivers. So I like our old boy, Rashee Rice. Like, Mike, you're spot on. We can't trust Sky Moore. We can't trust MVS. Kadarius Toney, we just can't trust. Like Rashee Rice, I've talked about him a couple of times. He is continuing to trend up inside this offense. The over 30.5 receiving yards we hit last Thursday, it's 35.5. We have him projected for just over 40 receiving yards. So in this spot against the Chargers, you mentioned Watson, he's not doing a whole lot, but he's on the field. So that means potentially more snaps, more routes for Rashee Rice. It's inside the top 10 in red zone targets. So the over 30, 35, 33.5, I think, may climb up to 35, 36 to take anything as high as 39.5 and plus 240 for him to find the end zone. I think this is a guy that in the second half, from the fantasy standpoint, could be a league winner for people.
It's a great point. It's got to be Rice. Last year, Juju Smith did enough to keep them honest. It has to be Rice. He's athletic, he's young, he's fast, and he can separate. All of those things are not covered by other receivers. You have some that are fast that drop balls like Marcus Valdes-Scantling. You have Sky Moore, who could not separate against us. So he has the boxes that he needs, and Mahomes wanted him there.
All right. Well, on the topic of teams that break our hearts, my one-win New York Giants were so disappointing. They were so close yet so far. You knew that was
Jets one.
True. I know. Again, what we talked about this before, like maybe I picked the wrong team. That's okay. No, but Giants get a visit from the Commanders. Still no Daniel Jones. The under has hit in 5 of New York games this season, but you guys both are looking at the over. Shall we?
Yeah.
That conversation. Meanie, you want to begin?
Yeah, I'll tee us up here. And before we got going here, we talk about our plays early in the week, some leans that we have. I think this line was like 39.5, and I liked the over then, and it's coming down here to 37.5. This always makes me think like, well, maybe I shouldn't be on that side if things are trending the other direction, but I'm sticking to my gut and what I think will happen here in this game. And I just feel like this line is, it's more on the Giants, right? The Giants haven't had a lot of offensive touchdowns. They're not scoring a lot. Much has been made of that over the past couple of weeks. You mentioned Daniel Jones. So that Tyrod Taylor had a decent game last week. They got stuffed, near the goal line a couple times, right? They went for it one time and Saquon got stuffed. At the end, there was like a bogus non-call. It was completely hold on Waller. I thought the Giants did some okay things in that game. I thought the defense was pretty solid here, but man, like 37.5 is just too low. It's just too low. Saquon looked healthy. I expect more attempts from him. Wan'Dale Robinson is a player that I really like coming off his best game of the season. He's got over 20 grabs in like 3 or 4 games to start the season. And then on the other side, Sam Howell's playing really good football. He's playing really good football. He's top 5 in pass attempts. According to our wide receiver cornerback matchup tool, this is one of the best spots this week for Terry McLaurin against Adoree Jackson, who's inside the top 3 in terms of yards allowed per route run covered so far this season. So I expect a big game from him. We're not seeing anything from Jahan Dotson, but Brian Robinson Jr. has been really good this year. Howell's going to toss a couple touchdowns, and I think the Giants can get there as well. And I know we always reference the NFL betting model. Why wouldn't we? Because it's fantastic. And I know, Mike, you have some numbers as well that you can dive in and just jump in here, because this game is grading out to the over as well. Like, we like this spot.
Yep. 5 of the last 7 games between these two teams have gone over this number. Ooh. Washington's offense looks solid. Sam Howell, he'll either turn it over or he'll push them down the field. And hello, Brian Robinson in this matchup against the Giants.
Your guy.
So you got it. Certainly solid wide receivers. Giants 28th in defensive DVOA, including 30th against the run per Aaron Schatz. Giants have to score, and most importantly, if our model, which you mentioned, Chris, through 6 weeks, NFL betting model here at FTN Bets, totals with a 9% edge or higher, 12-2, 85.7% against the spread. Totals with a 5% or higher edge, even lower threshold, 20-8, still 71.4%. This game, 12.2% edge now that the line is at 37.5. We don't want to blindly bet models, but everything adds up here. When I saw an edge this big, it was Cowboys, Arizona back in week 3. We know what happened there. I am with Chris on this one.
I like it. Let's stick with the totals, shall we? Because those are always fun. Meanie, Cleveland at Indy. The Browns defense is no joke.
Man.
No.
Are you
joke.
kidding me? The Browns defense. Abby, I think we all knew they were good, but my goodness, like, what did they do to San Fran last week?
Shutting down the Niners offense. That was when you were like, okay, hold the phone. Like, this is for real. So now, Jonathan Taylor, I think is probably an X factor here. It's how much are we going to see him? Is he going to be in true midseason form? Like, are they going to utilize him a lot? I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the game planning for the Browns defense. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, they've just been incredible. So what do you like as far as the total goals?
I like the under, Abby, and you're right. I mean, they just have been incredible. And this is another one that's moved here a little bit. So I liked the under 39.5. I'm definitely going to like the under 41. Again, parlay calculator, prop shop to get the best possible number. And I'll reference DVOA again from Mr. Aaron Schatz. I mean, number 1 against the pass, number 4 against the run. Shanahan and the Niners, do we all agree, like, Shanahan's one of the best play callers in the NFL?
For sure.
In the NFL?
He knew what he was game planning for it too.
Yeah. 8 3-and-outs last week for the Niners. The first time that's ever happened to Shanahan as a head coach for the Niners. 3.9 yards per play. The fewest for Shanahan with San Fran in 63 games.
Wow.
63 games. Wow. 215 total yards for Shanahan and the 49ers last week. The fewest in 7 seasons under Shanahan. That is an outlier game for the Niners offense, but credit to this Browns defense. Yeah. They were moving the line of scrimmage when the ball was hut to Purdy. The line was just in his face, right? CMC is questionable to play in this game, in that game, excuse me, but I'll get sidetracked when we talk about San Fran. It was like, San Fran. But ultimately, it's this Browns defense that has just been so impressive. And offensively, they can't really bring it. They haven't been able to bring it, whether it's Deshaun Watson, PJ Walker. It sounds like it will be PJ Walker. It's nice to see Amari Cooper have a good game here. You mentioned Taylor continues to trend up, right? We'll see more snaps from him. I don't know if he's going to have a lot of success between the tackles. He caught a bunch of passes last week, but Gardner Minshew didn't play great at all in that game last week. He looked like a backup quarterback. Now he's got to deal with this Browns pressure and the secondary. So this one is like, this may be the most boring game to watch this weekend. And I don't love unders, but this is one that I feel like will be a very low scoring game. I'd be shocked if the Colts scored 14 points and the Browns probably live in the high teens. So taking the under 41.
I like it. Hey, so the Patriots, speaking of hot mess, just an absolute disaster on offense. They're playing the Bills, which is going to maybe be painful to watch for Patriots fans. Randall, what do you like in this game specifically?
Abby, how about Chris bringing the fire with those stats here? I got up my game. He's destroying me.
I stole them from ESPN Stats and Info. I probably should have given him a shout out, but those are still alarming numbers.
Chris, I remember coaching college basketball. I didn't have a unique play. I just stole everything. Okay, that's how I coached. What has New England, Abby, done well this year? Not much, but they've limited opposing wide receiver ones. New England's defense ranks best in DVOA defense against opposing wide receiver ones, 11% better than Kansas City. Keep that in mind. They stifled Devontae Adams. He goes on his weekly tirade about how he's not involved in the offense. And one of those passes came when Brian Hoyer came in, which means Belichick schemed against Garoppolo. Hoyer comes in, a little bit of a better arm, more accurate veteran quarterback. They connect on one. So if Garoppolo had stayed in, Adams 2 for 29 is probably worse. Tyreek Hill only 5 of 40. Yes, he scored a touchdown, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Stephon Diggs under 84 or now 83.5 receiving yards.
No, he's on the fantasy team.
Yep. Well, here's the issue. Yeah, I get it. And for DFS people, I just think there are better options out there than going with Stephon Diggs. This is what New England does. They've been doing it for years. I know Belichick's under fire. I know they've been struggling, but they need a win. They're home per our FTN splits tool against Belichick's defense. Diggs down across the board, 13% fewer targets, 19% fewer receptions, 10% fewer receiving yards, less PPR points, and that's the last 5 matchups that he's had against New England. I expect Belichick to do it again. Their run defense is solid. We have seen the Patriots have success against Josh Allen. Remember the game a couple of years ago where they only threw it twice with Mac Jones? This is a rivalry. It is a division game. Backs against the wall. Foxborough. Here come the Bills. they are going to limit Stephon Diggs like they've done all year. They may not win, Abby, but they're going to limit Stephon Diggs. I think he's going to be under that number.
I was going to say, leave it to you to find the positivity amongst the negative. Hey, Patriots, New England fans are going to love you this week. You might even get a call from Bill Belichick after that. Seriously.
Yeah, it'd be exciting.
You convinced me a little more than I felt any type of convincing towards anything positive for the Patriots. Hey, do you think, are you laying the points for Buffalo, though? I think it's 8.5, 9-point spread.
Listen, Chris knows this. It goes across all sports. You're going to give me a division or a conference game where the favorite's on the road. I am going to take the home team with the points. Like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football, pull it away again. I will be on the Patriots getting the points. I will.
I think we'll see Josh Allen bounce back. Like, he's not going to be as bad as what he was last week. But I really dig. I mean, Randall had a lot of great numbers there, and Bill Belichick has that history of taking away the opposing team's best players. So what does that mean? Gabe Davis bounce back. His receiving yard prop open at 33.5. We have him projected for 60 receiving yards. So that's a massive gap. The only place I'm seeing it is DraftKings and Caesars, and he's had a really good start to the season. He had touchdowns in 4 straight games before last week as well. He's plus 260 to find the end zone. So Allen's going to have to look elsewhere. They're going to take away Diggs and let Allen try to spread the ball around to other players. But this isn't the first rodeo here for Bill.
Chris, it could be Davis, it could be Dalton Kincaid, or it could be Derrick Henry if they trade for him, right? Sorry, just throw that out there. That's enough for today.
Wow. Spicy. Hey, let's go meanie money line. I know you like some money line picks this week. What you got for us?
I actually don't have a ton more that I'm feeling confident in. I like I'll give you a couple money line picks that may be toss-ups. I like the Bucks at home at minus 136 against the Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are a team that wins tight games at home. Like Fritter on the road in a hostile environment. I'm going to lean with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the money line there. I like the Rams as well. This one is a little bit juicier at minus 162. I think that I would just lean with them to cover the spread at 3. Of course, they have no running back. Like they're down to like their 4th and 5th string running back, but I really like what I've seen from Matthew Stafford. So those are the two money lines I would play. And as we get out of here, I want to hear Mike's thoughts on, because I'm completely biased and I'm feeling like the Eagles are in trouble, but Miami, this is just such a fun game. There's so many different storylines, right? You have Tua and you have Jalen Hurts, 2 former quarterbacks, teammates. I mean, at Bama, Tua overtook Hurts there, and I think it was 2018. Tua was the guy that was, drafted high, and Jalen Hurts was the guy that kind of fell, had to work his way into a starting position. But over the last 2 years, they're both top 5 in like QBR. They're top 5 in yards per attempt. They're top 5 in completions over 50 yards. Like some of our metrics show, like deep passing completion percentage. Like these guys just grade out well. This is a high total game at over 52, 52.5, 53.5. Where are you at, Mike? Are the Eagles in trouble because they've got some issues defensively at the moment?
I can see the sweat.
Dwayne Johnson is not there, but they can dial up pressure. And what I notice is Tua, when he has pressure in his face, he tends to struggle. So where are you at in this game? It should be the game of the week.
Yeah, I would really like Miami a lot. I'm staying away on the side. If the Eagles had won last week, the Jets with a great win, played well. I guess I lean Miami, but I'm not betting the side. I think the Eagles have problems. I do, and they're entering, as you know, Chris, a brutal stretch coming up right now. Kansas City, Seattle, just a ton of teams that they have to play that are going to be difficult. Obviously, they'll right the ship, but I'm a little pessimistic on Philadelphia. As you can tell, I'm pessimistic on Kansas City. I think there are some records out there that are a little bit misleading from where they're at. So why would I bet against McDaniel? I wouldn't here. I think it's a tough game. If the Eagles were undefeated, I would love the Dolphins even more, but it's a stay away from me.
The Dolphins are literally just their offense is firing on all cylinders. Like it's like one aspect of the game isn't going well. Like they're not able to stretch the field, but then they adjust and they can run the ball. Like it's insane just how good it is. Like they're averaging 498.7 yards on offense.
That's like, ridiculous. But it is a battle of, what they do very well is run, and what the Eagles do very well is kind of stop the run. So, we'll see if they can just have, and it sounds weird to say, like, just let Tua throw the ball, because he's really throwing the ball all over the field, and Tyreek Hill just cannot be stopped. I mean, the guy is 180 yards away from 1,000 yards. It's week 7.
Crazy.
It's week 7, and he is churning out over 100 yards per game on average. His prop is like 100, and I would lean to the over on that one. Bradbury's going to have a tough one against him. But yeah, it should be a really fun game on Sunday Night Football, and Mike's right. I mean, after that, they got a matchup against Washington, then Dallas, KC, San Fran, Buffalo, Dallas again, then into Seattle. Mm-hmm. It's the toughest remaining schedule. So we'll see where the Eagles are at here over the next couple of weeks.
Hey, there was a really good prop bet that you can also play on this game. You mentioned the rushing, Raheem Mostert, the over on rushing yards and his total yards. Our Edge tool shows that playing that prop this week is one of the best you can do. So you can either go over just on the rushing or over on his total. The Edge is 17.5% with a 70% win percentage for the rushing yards, which is like 48.5. I think we have him projected to run for like at least 60 yards or maybe a little bit less. And then the total that you can play that on is 24.1% is going to be the Edge on that.
Wow.
And Abby, it's a great call, because a lot of times when you have these matchups, people overrate the defense. Yes, the Eagles' run defense has been fantastic, but Mostert is going to get so much work and so much volume, and he can get a lot in the receiving yard as well. I tend to ignore defenses. Not that defense don't matter, but I'm not going to knock down a player just because it's a hard matchup. They have to ride with Mostert in the backfield here, so I like that as well.
Yeah, you know what, Abby? Those are two great calls. Like, we have him for 63 rushing yards, 48.5, 49.5 for his rushing prop. Is just way too low, considering what he brings to the table with the speed that he has and the play calling ability that Mike McDaniel has. It only takes 2 or 3 carries, honestly, for him to be able to rack that up. Like, it's a massive hole, and all of a sudden he's there. And then we have him for 26.6 receiving yards. I like the over on the rushing and receiving combined, 68.5, just in case the Eagles do bottle him up a little bit on the ground. They'll find a way to get the ball in his hands, whether it's a couple screens or you always see the reverse end around, and you see it every week with the Dolphins. They run more guys in motion than any team in the NFL, and the Eagles have shown me that they cannot handle that dating back to last year. So it's going to be a really, really fun game.
Great call, guys. That's why I went with Pollard on FTN here, the over on his combined rushing receiving in the game the other night, because I just wasn't sure how I was going to break out. That little dump and spin took it to the house there, got over 93.5.
Look at us. These were some good. We had a lot of stuff that we went through for this one. There's going to be some good games this weekend. I like it.
Mike, one final thought. Who would you guys pick in Survivor this week? This week. If you can't, like, for me personally, I can't pick San Fran. Used them. Couldn't pick Miami if I wanted to use them. Used them. Already used New England. Already used KC.
You're gonna hate
the Rams last week. I think the spot is Seattle against Arizona.
Yeah, my cousin called me about this. Great quote. Talked about it last night. The answer is Seattle, Chris. But if you don't have Seattle, you know where I'm going. You guys are going to laugh me off this show right now.
Oh, gosh.
Where am I going, Chris?
He's going. I think he might.
He's going Saints.
No, that's a good call, though, Abby. Very good. I do like Saints.
I thought you were going to go Saints.
Excellent. No,
I think that you would go.
You're not going to believe it.
It's Packers.
That's it. I'm going to go with Denver. I'm going to take Denver. Guys, Sean Payton off a loss, off of 2 losses. Russell Wilson is like 8-1 against the spread coming off of 2 losses. I know it's awful. I get it. But go with me. Could the Broncos defense have maybe figured something out against Kansas City? Jordan Love on the road? Really? I get it. It's Seattle by a mile, but my backup, I'm not taking the Bills. I'll take Denver. I know. I'll leave now. Thank you.
Oh, my God. Yeah, on that note, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. As always, this was a fun one for sure. We'll be with you guys every – there we go. That's the perfect way to end it. As we laugh off Randle, Abby Labar, Chris Meany, appreciate you guys as always. We look forward to joining you next week.